Yak Gadget, made in America, based outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Yak Gadget offers all kinds of storage accessories, quick mount motor mounts, anchor systems, track mounted accessories, even paddles. Go to yakgadget.com and get your kayak decked out for your next trip out on the water.
The 153 Bait Company, based in Troy, Ohio, make everything from plastics to custom painted hard baits. Hook 'em hard and hook 'em often. All of our baits are made to order, and all of our hard baits are hand painted to order. So go to the153anglers.com to place your order today.
This segment is brought to you by Jig Masters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
You're listening to Bass Fishing for Noobs on the Paddle and Fin podcast with your hosts Ryan Milford and Sean Lavery. Welcome back to Bass Fishing for Noobs on the Paddle and Fin podcast. I'm Ryan.
Hey.
Sean with me.
Hey guys,
Sean.
Not much.
And that will be my last time saying that.
That's tough to hear, man.
It's tough to say, you know. I've put 2 years into this podcast, but yeah, I'm leaving the show, leaving Paddle and Fin. Yeah, I mean, no, everything's fine. I just got some other stuff that, I'm wanting to work on. I'm little burnout on this. We get a lot of good information and everything and all that, but, I've been doing it for 2 years and I don't know, decided to move on and try something else. And, Sean's going to be running it for a little while.
We'll see how that goes. I'm going to fly solo for a while, give you a chance to come back if you want. Leave that door wide open. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to take it one show at a time and see where we get to. But definitely, man, I wouldn't be here without you. So absolutely thank you for the opportunity to, you bringing me on. I still remember when, I was listening and I kept thinking, oh, well, Ryan's one of the only hosts that doesn't have a co-host. So I'm just going to shoot him an email and be like, hey, you ever think about having a co-host on? And I probably deleted that email like 4 or 5 times because I was like, who am I to reach out to this guy, and just be like, hey, you should have a co-host. And I sent it to you and you were welcoming me with open arms. So I can't say again how much I appreciate you giving me that opportunity. I wouldn't be here. And so I'll miss you, brother.
Yeah, man, definitely. And, with this, I think we've talked about it before, but, you messaged me at like the perfect time because I'd actually been talking to Brian at the time and was like, look, man, this is getting kind of overbearing doing this by myself. And, every single week trying to find somebody to interview and all that, especially when you're not well known, man, it's rough. And, I thought about quitting then just because it was rough. And I talked to him like, well, my dad, a co-host. I was like, but I'm be kind of picky about it, because, I don't know. And I guess I have a way in my head that like I kind of want the show to run. And so I'd want somebody to like kind of go with that flow. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then again, like if I had I told you if I have a co-host, where it's both of our show,
right?
Like, it's not just going to be my show with, you on it. It's going to be both of our shows. So I wasn't sure. It was going to be hard for me to like kind of let go a little bit, I guess. Kind of my baby, but yeah, you messaged me and we talked a little bit and like. Yeah, actually seemed like you fell right into my lap, like exactly what I was looking for. I feel like you've brought like a great dynamic to it, and you're kind of the quieter one. I'm the loud one, and I feel like we've had good chemistry through it. So yeah, it's gonna kind of sucks that we're not going to be doing a show together, but I've definitely made a good friend in all this. So,
absolutely. I told my wife that. I was like, I've met the guy one time in person, but I consider you a great friend, and to be able to bond over the show and do it, however many miles apart we are, definitely something I'll miss, but appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, I'll definitely keep in touch, man. So
yeah, we'll definitely have to get together some more.
Right.
But with that said, I'll probably try to get to some more paddle and fin meetups. Like I said, there's, we're all good, like paddle and fins.
You're still a member of the paddle and fin family for sure.
Yeah, I guess. but yeah,
we're kind of a little further down on the tree. But no, I'm just kidding.
We're all still cool and everything, so I'll probably still, hit up some of their meetups and stuff when they do them. But yeah, so
now that that's out of the way,
yeah, we got that part done. The sad or the happy part, whatever, depending on how y'all feel about me. Yeah,
I think you have a bright future, man, and you're gonna do cool things no matter where you go. So, anytime you need plugged, hit me up, and we'll talk about it. Your ventures on the show. Just let everybody know where you're at and that kind of thing. So,
yeah, man. All right, so today's topic. Today's topic is going to be boat ramp etiquette, and this was inspired by, I've seen it a few times, but it just really hit me the wrong way. They're a 2-lane boat ramp. 2 boats can get in there. Really, you could probably fit 3 if everybody fit in there snug, but it's made for 2 boats to comfortably be able to be backed in or whatever at the same time. Well, let me share this. It's the picture that I took here. Somebody in the middle of the boat ramp backing down to the water. Now, this is after, if you see here, you got this vehicle with a boat back down here. Well, there's 2 kayaks off to the side. Well, the people in the kayaks did the same thing. And so I waited on them. And then as soon as they pulled up, I was trying to get out. As soon as they pulled up, the vehicle with the boat pulled in there and then back down in the middle. And so I had to sit there and wait on them, and then they weren't set up at all. While they were waiting on the other vehicle to move, they just sat there instead of going ahead and unstrapping the boat and all that, having it ready to put in. So we're going to talk about boat ramp etiquette a little bit. So hopefully we can, show people a more courteous way to use the boat ramp.
Right. And I think kayakers often get a bad name, a bad rap for, this exact thing. I've heard it a lot in the boating community. Oh, kayakers are constantly just sitting their kayaks at the, on the ramp and walking away. And, so it goes both ways. It's not just boaters, It's not just kayaks. I've seen kind of, idiots on both ends of the spectrum there. And it gives all boaters a bad name when you don't know what you're doing, or so there's definitely some things we'll go over today that can help kind of get that stigma out of there.
Yeah. And it does take a kayaker longer to get their boat set up and in the water and everything. So unless you trailer, boats on trailer, they can pretty much get everything they need done, get up to the water, back in there, unhook it, put it up against a dock or whatever they got to do up on the bank or whatever, pull out and go. Where a lot of us, if we carry in the bed of our truck, we got to back down to the ramp, unload that, then take everything out of the truck that goes in the kayak and put it in there where it goes, and can take 10-15 minutes sometimes. So, but yeah, so How do we start this off? We just
The first thing would be, try to have as much of your stuff ready before you get there. Most boat ramps will have a spot where you can pull in and prep, if you will. So, and the same goes for a boater. There's spots like that for a reason, so that you keep the chain moving. And when you're going down the ramp, you should be pretty much ready to get in the water. Now, like you said, on a boat, it's a lot easier because a lot of your equipment is already on the boat, and you're kind of just unhooking and then maybe, taking it over to the dock so you can go up, move your truck, and come back. But with a kayak, you don't necessarily have all your stuff on your kayak, and I'm the same way. I have to add my tackle box or my crate, my fishing rods, my drive, and so there's definitely a little bit of a loading process. But if you keep that in mind and just have it kind of somewhat organized and have an idea of what, get the process down so that it, you can do it as quickly as possible. A lot of the places I put in, they're very small ramps, and there's only one car is going to be there at a time. So the quickest you can get in and out, the better off it'll be. So do you have any ways you handle that better? Like I try to make sure, like my rod socks are off, before I get down there, get actually on the ramp itself. That's one of the things I do in pre-prep, that kind of thing.
Yeah, see, I carry my kayak in the back of my truck. And so when I get, especially like a busy boat ramp, there are some times where I'm at a boat ramp that's not very busy. And so I'll just back the truck down there and unload it, and then unload everything, because there's like another lane over here and all that. But that's another thing, and I kind of touched on that at the beginning, but stick to your lane. If it's wide enough for two vehicles to be in there, make sure you leave room for another vehicle to get in there.
It seems like common sense, but a lot of people don't do that. I've seen it before where there's lines painted and people are not in the lines at all. I'm like, maybe now I'm not the world's best trailer backer. I can back my pickup darn near anywhere, but you put a trailer on there and it's a mess. So I definitely understand that that's a challenge, but either practice that or, but just do your best to stay in the lines. They're there for a reason.
Yeah. But if I'm at a busy boat ramp, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to have my kayak dolly with me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll do a lot of the time is I'll pull in a parking spot and I'll just take the kayak off, put it on the dolly, load everything up there, and then just wheel it down to the water, or down to the ramp, get it off the dolly, and launch. It's that quick once everything's set up. Honestly, if you can afford a trailer and have somewhere to put it and everything, the trailer is really the best way to go. Have your kayak on a trailer. When you get there, you can set it all up. Everything's ready to go. Then you just back it in like a boat would. You back it in there. You bank it and pull up, go park, and you're done. So I had a trailer for a very short-lived time, and that was what was awesome with it. But I actually kind of embarrassed myself on what you were saying. I feel like I'm actually pretty good at backing a trailer, but when you can't see the trailer and it's a smaller one, it's it's a little harder. And I was at check-in on a tournament last year, and a bunch of people around. I was trying to back from the parking spot to the boat ramp instead of pulling out, going forward and going all the way around. And I had a couple people laughing at me. And so I finally just put it in drive and went forward. But yeah, that is something to get used to with backing a trailer. If you got somewhere where you can practice that,
right,
that'd probably be the best bet before you go taking it to a boat ramp if you're not used to driving a trailer. But yeah, trailer, I feel like it's the best way to go if that's something that's feasible for you, like budget and somewhere to store it. I feel like it's just the best thing you can do right there.
I definitely want to do that too. I mean, that's definitely on my list of things for my kayak is a trailer, because it's easier to put it on a trailer, I would think, than putting it in the back of your pickup truck. It doesn't have to go as high. Yeah, like you said, you can load it and unload it, have it loaded somewhat, before you even get to the ramp. But I definitely, backing would be something I need to work on. When we used to go crabbing with my stepdad, we had a little 15-foot boat that on a trailer, and there was some ramps that we went to that it was really tight, and it took me quite a few times sometimes to get it back down straight. And definitely had some people laughing at me, and I know the pressure that you feel when you're trying to do that and there's people watching. But for sure, if you can take it somewhere, like I have a school, an elementary school right close to me, that I ended up going up there with cones and stuff and practicing until I felt like I could do it almost on the first shot every time, because you don't want to be that guy. It sucks.
Yeah. And smaller trailers are, for anybody that's not used to trailers, smaller trailers are much worse to back up than bigger trailers. People always think like, oh, the bigger trailer is going to be harder to pull, and it's really not. When you're going forward, you got to make your turns a little wider on the bigger trailers, but backing up, the bigger trailers stay straighter for you, and
your changes aren't magnified as much as it is with a little trailer. A little trailer, you turn a little bit and the trailer turns a lot.
Yeah. So keep that in mind if you decide to get a trailer. But if you do the trailer, definitely have some sort of kayak dolly. I'm going to clarify that. Do not get one that goes in the scupper plugs or scupper holes. Yeah, because those are known to crack the plastic inside your scuppers, and a lot of the time warranty ain't going to cover that.
I think Hobie supposedly have reinforced scuppers on the ones you're supposed to use them on, but even so, I still
wouldn't trust it.
No, I've heard the same thing. So like I use the C-Tug. I've broken the kickstand off it a few times. Luckily, they're cheap online. You can find them. I think it's like $10 to replace the kickstand, because if you I've had it before. I had it on the ramp and trying to pull it up, and it starts rolling backwards. If that kickstand catches it, it can snap it right off. Like I said, it happened to me once when I was at a ramp, and once when I was actually moving to my new house. My friend was pulling the kayak up onto a trailer for me, and the kickstand was down, and he didn't know it, and he just busted it right off. So definitely something to keep in mind. And I've had, I did that too if the ramp is busy. A lot of times I would do the same thing. I'd park in the parking lot, put my kayak on the cart and wheel it down that way. But there's sometimes I've struggled with that too. If the ramp is steep, sometimes pulling your kayak up that ramp can be a pain, but it definitely makes it quicker,
Yeah. Oh man, I've pulled my kayak up a very steep walking path up here at Henry Horton State Park on the Duck River, and it is not fun, but it gets the job done.
When we went to Deep Creek, I took mine down a crazy long walking path to get to the water, and I actually didn't have the cart centered, and I dumped my kayak twice. And I should have centered it after the first dump, because I have all sorts of little hooks and stuff in my cup holders and stuff, and I was picking that stuff out of the grass. It was a pain. And then I put it back on and got maybe 10 feet further down the path and dumped it again. I was like, this is ridiculous. And then that time I finally did make sure it was centered a little better. But so, yeah, definitely, it's not as easy as backing right down to the ramp, but, and if it's not busy, then that's not a big deal. But if it is a busy ramp, keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. And I had a thought a second ago, and I just lost it. I don't remember what it was.
I know in the wintertime I've had a lot more. The ramps are a lot less busy in the wintertime, and so I've done that before too. But the lake I go to a lot, and actually the river, where both places I found spots that aren't actual ramps, but I can still put in. And like the place by the river that I go to, it's just behind this little restaurant, and they have a little stone kind of driveway thing that goes down to the water. It's not, a boat couldn't launch there, but that's usually almost always where I launch on the river, because I know that I won't have to be dealing with any boat traffic. The only thing occasionally I have to do is move some people that fish there. And the same thing at Lake Redmond where I go, there's a parking lot on the other side of the lake that kind of just has some shoreline access that I can launch from there. So, we have kayaks, so sometimes that's easier if you can do it that way.
And, something you just said kind of brought me to another thing for, boat ramp etiquette. If you're a bank fisherman and you're fishing on a boat ramp and people have pulled up to use that boat ramp, step out of the way. Like, don't just stand there and expect them to, work around you on a boat ramp. The boat ramp is made, it's not made for fishing off of. It's made for launching boats and stuff. So yeah, just be courteous. Step out of the way. Let them do what they need to do, and hopefully they'll be quick and you can get back to what you're doing. And I've seen that several times. People want to fish from the boat ramp, which I don't even really understand that too much. Like, maybe like a really low traffic area, but in a high traffic area, like there's a lot of people going in and out of there. There's probably not going to be, it's probably going to be hard to catch a fish right there.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, I've seen videos online where, like, some of the YouTubers I watch where they will go up to the ramp and, make a few casts, and sometimes they do catch stuff. I mean, I think boat ramps, like roadbeds, kind of are a hard structure that fish sometimes relate to.
Yeah, that's true.
But just like you said, I don't know how many times I've been fishing at the lake and going to that one spot, and there's people there fishing, and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I just come in there? And they're like, like it's a major inconvenience. I'm like, dude, that's the only place for me to get out. I can't get out anywhere else. So, and that's where my truck is. So either, you take the, 1 minute to reel back in and let me, get out of the water, and it doesn't take me long. I, paddle right up to the shore, hop out, grab my boat, pull it up past them, and they're good to go again. So it's just, you're going to run into those people occasionally. So,
yeah. So as far as the cart goes, do you strap your kayak to the cart when you're using one?
I'd have to. I don't think it would stay under otherwise. So, yeah, I usually run the strap and pull it as tight as I can, because that's, like I said, that's when I've had issues, is when either the strap isn't tight or it's not centered on the cart. But I definitely need to strap mine every time, or I think it would fall off.
Yeah, I use a strap myself, but I got a cheaper cart. They say like those sea tugs, they're kind of expensive, but they say those, I guess they like grip the kayak or something.
Yeah, it has.
Just put them
It has that kind of the buckle thing has those teeth in it, so that if you pull it tight, it's not loosening. You know what I mean? So you just have to make sure you pull it really tight. But I'm not gonna lie. There's times where it's been tough for me. Either it rolls down the ramp on me, or it does. The nice thing about the Sea Tug is it comes apart really easily. So usually once I get down to the water, I just pop it off, and then take it apart quick and throw it in my front hatch and go. So that's the nice thing about the Sea Tug is I don't have to walk it back up to my car. It will fit in my front hatch relatively easily. So generally that's what I do if it's busy, or especially in tournament situations where I know a lot of either kayaks or boats are going to be coming in and out at once. I try and put it on my cart and bring it down that way.
And see, that'd be kind of nice at breaking down, because when I use my cart, I've got to kind of take it, and I'll basically put a wheel under the bungee cords in the front of my kayak, in the front wheel, and it just rides there. Well, that's where I lay my net, because I got my net like on the top of my pedal drive, and the actual netting part sits right there. And it hasn't happened yet while trying to bring in a fish, but I just know it's going to happen where I'm bringing in a fish and I go to grab my net and it like gets caught on like a nutter bolt on that cart, and I'm not going to be able to get it up, and I'm end up losing a fish over it.
Where you throw the cart in the water. I know on the Hobies they say with those scupper carts that there is a bungee actually made for that on the back behind the tank well. There's like a little bungee there that they have that's made to strap that down. But to me, that's not super convenient because I can't reach it without getting in the water to get back there. And so the C-Tug I had it back when I had my Jackson. So, and the same thing, it fit in the front of the Kusa as well. So it definitely was a good purchase. It definitely is more expensive. I think if you keep your eye out sometimes on Craigslist and that kind of thing, you can find them used. I know a buddy of mine got one from a guy who's just like, I don't need this anymore. And he paid well over half price for it. So if you keep your eyes out, sometimes you can find them.
Well, I ain't seen none that cheap yet, but I hope I do.
Yeah. And then same thing, for the longest time, I thought about getting the wheels that you just kind of, what are they called? I always forget.
It was like the sand wheels or something like that.
No. I mean, like the wheels that you, like the legs are there.
Oh, like the Boondocks?
Boondocks, yeah. And I've just heard so many horror stories about it cracking the hole where you attach that.
Yeah, if I did that, it would definitely be on a kayak that I trust to be like well made, and I definitely have like backing plates and stuff on there.
Yeah, and actually, when I actually looked into that, I reached out to Boondocks, and they are very cool about it. They're like, I was talking to the customer service person, and I mentioned that I had a C-Tug, and she's like, oh, well, you don't have to buy the whole kit. Then you can actually piece it together and use your C-Tug wheels because the C-Tug wheels fit on the Boondocks, bars. And I was like, oh, okay, so I just about pulled the trigger, but then I started watching videos and reading online and saw a bunch of people saying how it cracked their kayaks. But the same thing, like we always say, you only hear mostly the negative stuff. So there could be 75% of the people who do it have no problems, and you're only going to hear from the 25% of people that do, and maybe they.
I don't even know if I say that. I'd say like you hear from like the 5% in most of those cases. Like same thing with Jackson. A lot of people like dog Jackson over the pedal drive issues they've had, and Jackson's definitely like busted their butts to try to fix the problem that they've had with it. But you don't hear people, when they go out and their pedal drive works good, they're like, oh man, pedal drive, worked fine again for the 100th time. Like, no, they're only going to say something whenever, something bad happens. So out of all the Jackson pedal drives that have been sold, you've heard, so many people complain about them being messed up, but there's still a ton out there that never had an issue. I've never had an issue with my drive. The only issue I've had out of Jackson is my hull cracked, and it was 3 months old. And man, their customer service is great, and they got me. They took it, they looked at it to see where the problem was. They adjusted their mold to add more plastic right there where it cracked at, because mine was the first one they had issues of. But after I reported mine, there was a couple of others, I guess, that had that issue. They added more plastic in that spot, made me a brand new kayak, new drive. They even upgraded me to the new ceramic bearings that it just came out with instead of the stainless steel. And new seat, new drive, brand new kayak, everything, and delivered it to me at my work on my lunch break.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, there's definitely a lot of misunderstanding from people when it comes to complaints that they see, like, oh, this must be crap. Like, no, you're just hearing from the few that everything. I don't care what product you buy, fishing related or not. There's going to be defective items, issues that come out of it. That's just how the world works.
Right, right.
And I've always said it matters more to me how the company handles that situation when that arises. And like I said, Jackson, all those people complaining, they all got new drives. They all got taken care of.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, I can echo that too. I'm trying to think of what I had to have replaced on my Kusa, but they did it, quick, almost no questions. I basically sent them a picture, said, hey, this is a little messed up, and they sent me a new one right away. So Jackson's been good. I haven't had to do that with my Hobie yet. I've heard varying degrees of Hobie's customer service sucks, but I haven't had to deal with that yet, luckily enough. But I think my local shop would probably kind of help me out there too. So I did saw through one of my I had my braid wrapped around. They have these like plastic or rubber caps that go over your rod holder holes, and I had my braid wrapped around that one time, and I pulled on it and it sawed right through it, cut it right off. So I've been meaning to reach out and see if I can get a new one of those, but for the most part, I've talked to a bunch of people that are like, oh yeah, I have to replace my Hobie fin masts because I bend them, and I've hit rocks pretty hard, and I should knock on some wood or something, but in 2 years of hitting rocks and stuff, I haven't bent them to the point where they don't work at all. So, but we'll see. But yeah, the Boondocks thing, I mean, it seems like it would be really convenient,
Yeah.
that where you just, now I've heard that it's not as easy to do it in the water to actually get them down, depending on the type of wheels you have on it, that since the wheels float, you kind of have to force the arm down. But, to me, it seemed like it would be super convenient and take a lot of the weight off, sometimes depending what, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like if I had it, like, I would be out of the kayak before I tried to put them down. I'd probably get out and wade out in the water a little bit to where the kayak's at a point where it's deep enough for the wheels to go down, and turn them down there, then grab the front of the kayak and pull it out.
Yeah,
I don't have experience with it, but just thinking about it, I feel like that's how I would do it.
I thought about that too, but there's definitely times, being in a colder climate where I don't want to get wet. I want to get wet as little as possible. So that was one of the main reasons why I didn't do it, because even with my boundary boots and stuff, you can only go out so far before you're over those. And I just didn't want to be constantly getting wet to put wheels under my kayak. So, and that's the same reason why I didn't get the Hogue scupper cart, because you kind of have to be in the water to get that under there as well. So, whereas the Sea Tug, I kind of just kind of hit the ramp, walk off the front of my kayak, and then pull it up enough that I can get it out of the water and then get my Sea Tug under it. So, that's like I said, it's been a challenge on a slanted ramp before, but it does work. So,
well, something back kind of on. I think we kind of got a little bit off topic a little bit, but kind of back on the subject, something I wanted to say, like, if you are about to put in and there's like boats, that are behind you or something, consider letting them go before you, because they're going to, especially if you're going to take a while, like most of the time boats, especially like the nice bass boats, generally they, are experienced boaters, so they know how to get it in and out of there quick. So they're going to take like a couple minutes to do that, where you're going to take several. So that's something to consider right there, because we all have the same goal. We all just want to get on the water, relax, have some fun, catch some fish, and I don't know. I see too many stories of like hostility between people, whether it be kayakers or boaters or kayak boaters colliding. I still haven't had much issue out of that myself around here, but I don't know. I guess Tennessee, you never know who's carrying a gun, so you kind of there's some implemented respect already in there, you know.
I've heard the same thing about Texas. They just, there's not as many arguments because you never know, but, I can't say that I've seen a ton of arguments either or boat ramps anyway. I've seen people, get mad about people fishing what they think is their property. And I'm like, hey, it's in the water, so it's, public right away, that kind of thing. But as far as boat ramps, for the most part, it's been yeah, and people kind of put up with it, I guess. They don't say as much if and again, it all depends on the time. Like, if you go to the boat ramp in the middle of the day, yeah, you can expect that it's going to be busier. If you hit it first thing in the morning, or there's definitely going to be times where it's busier than others. So you can try and plan accordingly. But like we always say, the best time to get out on the water is when you can. So can't let that dictate it.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to add to that, but that thought slipped my mind too. But
I would say the other thing I was thinking, we talk a lot about kayaks, but if you are boating and you're using the ramp, make sure you use the docks. Like that's what they're there for. Take your boat off the trailer, bring it over the dock, tie it up, and then take care of your truck. I don't know how many times I've seen either. I've actually witnessed a couple times where boats, they kind of just bring them up kind of right next to the dock on the shore, and then the boat either drifts away. I've actually helped a guy get his boat back because he thought he had it tied onto something on the shore. I forget what it was, a rock or a stick he tied his bow line to, and drove his car away, and then his boat just started drifting down the river. So I paddled over, grabbed the line, and towed it back over for him. But yeah. It's there's definitely learning experiences as you go. I definitely didn't, do everything right my first time either. So you have to extend people some grace with that as well. But
yeah,
for sure.
Well, there's learning curves to everything. But hopefully, listening to this episode will help some people out. But, a lot of people, it's not really that they're just trying to be rude. I don't think. I think it's they don't think about it.
Right.
And so maybe this will help people like think about that a little more, like share the space with everybody else.
Just be conscious of the space you're taking up, the amount of time you're taking, and that kind of thing. So for sure.
Right. And another, how do you feel about this? This might be kind of controversial. I've seen a lot of people complain about people that don't have trailers taking up the trailer parking. And a lot of these cases that I've seen, it's parking one of those parking spots or parking the grass. How do you feel about that?
I feel like if you take a boat off of your truck in some way, then you're entitled to a spot. Obviously, I've been to lots of different kinds of ramps at this point, and sometimes parking is a premium, and the longer spaces are designed for boats. If there is a shorter space and you can park in it, if you have just your truck and you're just putting your kayak in the back of the truck, I'd say use the shorter spaces if you can. But if the only thing that's there is long spaces and you took a boat or a kayak off the back of your truck, I'd say you're entitled to one of those spots.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. But we use the boat ramp. Now, somebody is there like bank fishing, or we got some that are connected to like sidewalks to walk around the lake and stuff. If you're there for that, then I don't think you should be using up a parking spot.
Oh, I agree.
Like it's a boat ramp. The parking lot is for the boat ramp. So I don't think they should be taking up a parking spot. But if you were using the boat ramp, just like you said, I think you should be able to use that, whether you got a trailer or not.
Now, it's interesting. close by me, I usually launch on, my side of the river, but right across the river from me is another launch. And I went there one time, and they actually have signs up that say, if you're launching a canoe or a kayak, please use the designated area to launch that. Don't use the boat ramp. Now, that sounds awesome. Hey, you have a designated spot to launch kayaks and canoes and stuff. It's down concrete steps, like 3 flights of concrete steps. I'm like,
What?
okay. So apparently they think every boat can be carried down those steps. But I'm like, I am not taking my bag down.
If you got like a little 40-pound, cheap kayak, then yeah, that's fine. But
right.
Yeah, our kayaks, you're not carrying them down those steps. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, the first time I went there, I was like, oh, that's awesome. They have actually a spot for that. But no, yeah, never again. I actually put a big gouge in my Kusa, dragging it down the hill next to the steps because I was afraid to do it at the ramp. But then every time after that, I just use the ramp. I'm like, screw that. I have a launch permit on my boat. I'm going to use the friggin' ramp.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely use that. And somebody say something about it, okay, you carry this down there for me.
Right. Have you ever used one of those? Do any of your launches have like the kayak launch? Like it's a little plastic like chute that you can actually. I've been a few places where that have that, but I've never used it because I was like, how's that going to work with my fins? That's not going to work. But I can see where like a sitting kayak, it would be nice if you to actually get in, sit down, know your kayak's kind of a little stationary before you kind of push off. But yeah, it's becoming a lot more popular, or a lot more prevalent, I should say, around here. I forget where I was. I was just someplace where they just added one of those, and it kind of makes sense to me, but at the same time, I don't think it applies to every kayak. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, and I figured more would like at least like little areas to launch your kayak would pop up. Just out of the amount of extra kayak traffic we have now, COVID, everybody bought a kayak. If they didn't buy a kayak, they wanted to, they just couldn't find one. So,
right.
So there's a lot more people kayaking now here. And it's pretty much year round. And so I figured there'd be more of that pop up, but I haven't seen it.
Well, there's another interesting thing, too. I read one time there was a discussion on the local lake Facebook group that I have where they were talking about, kayakers shouldn't use the boat ramp because they can just launch from anywhere on the shore. And then there was a guy who said he was like a game commissioner, game warden or whatever. And he said, well, if I see you launch from the shore, I'm going to write you a ticket. I'm like, how's that work? He's like, well, if you have to have a launch permit, and that means you have to use the launch. And so I can't remember, then there was a lot of back and forth there about whether you're allowed to just launch anywhere. And to be honest, I don't know what the rule is for that, but I would feel like if you can get access to the water, you should be able to launch there. But I don't know. And I've heard, Drew Gregory talk about, if there's enough water at a bridge, he'll pull off the side of the road and launch right there. If he can get his kayak down down to the water, he'll do it. So I don't know what the rule, like the law is for that, but it was just weird to hear that guy talk like that. And he's like, well, yeah, I see you launching just from the shore, not from the ramp, I'm going to write you a ticket. And I was like, okay. But there was another guy that was the same thing. It's like, well, I'm a game warden too, and I don't think that's true at all. And so, it was just an interesting conversation I remember seeing.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. So I don't know. I know here, pretty much anywhere public property you can launch.
Okay. I know my brother-in-law, he built a canoe out, from scratch, just strips of wood around a form, and he went to the DNR and they're like, well, you have to get a launch permit for that. And he's like, I don't want to put a sticker on my beautiful wooden boat. And they're like, well, sorry, you have to, if you want to use a Pennsylvania Department of Natural Resources launch, you have to have the launch permit displayed, stuck to the side of your kayak or canoe. So what he ended up doing was he made like this extra piece of wood that he stuck the sticker to and then hangs it on the side of his kayak. It just kind of hangs on the side of his canoe, just as a way around it, because his canoe is beautiful, and to put a ugly yellow sticker on it, he's like, I'm not doing that.
So y'all have to, like, I guess kind of in a way, like, register your kayaks up there.
Right. If you're going to use, and not every ramp is a DNR ramp, but if there's every ramp that's a DNR ramp, there's a sign that says, whatever, Pennsylvania Department of Natural Resources. And if you use that ramp, technically you're supposed to have a launch permit. Now the launch permits are $20 for 2 years, I think. So they're not expensive. But yeah, I mean, not everybody wants to stick a sticker on their boat, and,
see, they haven't done that here yet. As long if you have a trolling motor or gas motor, you have to register your kayak. You have to get like the numbers on the side and all that, and then the numbers on the side are permanent, and then you got another sticker that every time you update it, you can buy a 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, and you got to put that on there.
Right. No, in Pennsylvania, the same way. If you have a motor, any kind of motorized boat, if I put a motor on my kayak, I would have to add the numbers and everything. It actually, when I got my Hobie, the place I got it from was a boat dealer too, and they said, "Well, we'll register it for you, even though it doesn't need to be, and you can keep that registration going." But the nice thing about that is then when I go to other states, there's something that it saves me from having to do. Like if your boat is registered with the numbers in PA, it lets you take your boat more places, I think, out of state.
See, here, if you don't have any type of motor, you don't have to do anything. Like, you don't have to pay anything to use the launches or anything like that. And I feel like it's coming.
Yeah.
I know like Brad and them in Ohio, they have to, register their kayaks regardless and get a sticker. I don't think it's a lot of money, but in all fairness, I kind of think it should be that way, because we're using the boat ramps too. We're using the parking lot. We're driving on their pavement and all that. I to be fair, I kind of think it should. I don't think it should be expensive, but I think we should pay our part too. And then when we are in those cases where we want to use the boat ramp, and then somebody says something about you taking up time, then you have an argument.
Right. I paid to use this, right?
Yeah. To where right now here in Tennessee, the boat guys can be like, they don't even have to pay anything to come here and fish. I got to pay, and now I got to wait on them, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, if it was something, like $10 a year or something like that, or even, I'm wanting to say up there in Ohio, don't quote me on it, but I've heard Brad and Josh talk about it. I'm wanting to say it was like $20-something for a lifetime. I could be completely wrong on that, but yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, just a thought.
No, and I've heard both arguments that there's no cost to them. I mean, there's a little bit of ramp up key, I guess, but
yeah. Well, I mean, some people will try to argue like, well, we buy a fishing license, that helps pay for that. Like, yeah, but what about the recreational paddlers that don't buy a fishing license because they're not fishing? They're just out there paddling around.
Right.
They're using those ramps, but you know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure. There's definitely, I can see the argument on both sides of that. So, but oh man, anything else you can think of for boat ramp etiquette?
No, I think I pretty much covered everything I had on my mind. Just be courteous to other people. Just
yeah, it's definitely not rocket science. If you just keep your eyes out, be conscious of yourself and other people, and I think we can all get along pretty easily as long as we all use common sense. So
yeah, and if you are gonna like unload everything on the ramp, like just try to be as fast as possible about it. Don't sit there and take your time, because that picture I showed earlier of that boat, once he finally launched, it was out on a rope. So it's like swinging around and stuff. So that's why I didn't try to come up beside him. So I probably could have squeezed beside him. But, you know, I knew he was going to be backing up, and he was by himself, didn't know where his boat was going to go after he launched and all that. So after that, you know, he pulled up, you know, his boat was, you know, on like an anchor on the boat ramp, you know, just floating in the water and, you know, like pretty much taking up the entire boat ramp because the wind pushed it sideways.
Right.
And then, you know, I'm sitting there waiting still. He walks down to the boat ramp. One of the guys in the kayaks, I guess he knew him, and he started chit-chatting with him, and he looked like he had like some beef jerky or something, and he was giving him some of that, and they were just having a conversation while I'm just sitting there waiting for him to move his boat so I can pull up.
Right.
You know, just be courteous, guys. Like, if you're going to take up a spot on the boat ramp to do what you got to do, be quick about it, get out of the way, let the next person go.
Right. So before we finish up, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to thank you again for actually, while I was at camp, I do a week every summer as a camp counselor, and Ryan did a show, hopefully the listeners caught it, with Kayak Beast. I forget what the gentleman's name is.
Luke Prentice.
Luke Prentice, yes. So after hearing that show, I know probably like a lot of us, I also have my COVID whatever 20 that I added on that I probably, you know, don't. So after I heard that, I was like, you know what, I definitely need to do something. And I kept dragging my feet leading up to camp. I'm like, you know, 2 months before camp, I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to get in shape for camp this year, you know, because it does take a lot out of you. And then I was like, oh, well, I have 2 months. And then it was 1 month. And I was like, okay, well, I have a month. Let's get started. And then I never did it. And I was like, okay, 2 weeks. And then before I knew it, camp was there and gone. And it was exhausting. So when I got back from camp and I listened to that show, I was like, that's definitely something, you know, I can, you know, it sounded interesting. I was like, I don't eat a huge breakfast. So that part, you know, my wife was like, oh, I could never, you know, skip breakfast. But it's something that it kind of appealed to me because I don't eat a huge breakfast. I'm like, I feel like I could make that work. So after hearing that Ryan signed up for it, I signed up for it as well. I've been doing it. It's Sunday now. I've been doing it since Wednesday. And right now we're just kind of, you know, getting started with the intermittent fasting. And he started adding in a few things just to try and help speed up things. Did the exercises twice now. I was a little intimidated about that. I thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be one of those crazy 30-minute intense workouts where you barely have time to breathe and then you're dead at the end. But it really wasn't like that. I've gotten to adjust pretty well to the fasting. It's 12:41 now, and I haven't eaten since 8 o'clock last night. So definitely hungry right now, but I'm, you know, not crazy starving. So
yeah, it's 11:45 my time right now, and last time I ate was like, I think like 5 or 6 last night.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm not even really hungry. I mean, it's time for me to eat because my window is, you know, we go to lunch at 11:30 at work, and so my window is 11:30 to 7:30 at night. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I had like one hard day with the fasting. That morning I was working beside a guy and he kept talking about food. And he mentioned, you know, I love the sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles for breakfast. he was mentioning that there's a chicken, egg, and cheese McGriddle. And I was like,
oh, wow,
that's awesome. And like, yeah, it got me pretty hungry. And I'm like, dude, you gotta shut up. Like, just shut up. Quit talking about food.
No, it's there's times it's been tough. Like I think the one evening I actually went fishing, and that's what I was worried about. Like if I usually have like a little bit of something right before my window is 12 to 8. So right before like 7:45, I'll eat just like a little, either like a piece of jerky or something just to, and the one evening I went fishing from like 5:30 and I didn't get back till 9. So the last thing I ate was 5:30. So that was quite a stretch to get to lunchtime the next day. But I was a little hungry, but it wasn't anything, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. It was easily, I easily made it through. And, then I have actually noticed that I get fuller quicker now. I feel like, I tend not to eat as much. And so,
Yeah, I think I'm getting there too.
I know, and I can definitely tell when I eat too much now, because I feel kind of yucky afterwards. But I think at this point I'm down 5, so I'll take it for the first week. Again, it fluctuates, jumps around, but I think I'm at about 5. So definitely, if you guys haven't checked out the last show Ryan did while I was up at camp, check it out, and look up Luke online under Kayak Beast Fishing. I can't remember what. If you check back on the show notes, it's definitely in there. And you can, I think, if you just search for him on Facebook or Google, you can look up Kayak Beast. You can find his program.
Yeah, and I think I'm down around 3 pounds so far. And I on top of like weight loss and all that, I think one good thing for me is, I'd quit drinking I was gonna say Cokes. I say Cokes, soda, pop, whatever you want to call it. I quit drinking them for like 2 years, and then I had one day, and I got started back for like the last year and a half, and I've been drinking them pretty heavy. And I drink like 1 bottle of water a day generally. And since I've been doing this past week, I've been drinking like 5 or 6 bottles of water a day. And then, for lunch, I'll have a Gatorade Zero. And for dinner, that's kind of been my cheat meal, I guess. But I've been having like a glass of sweet tea with my dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's helping me get back off the Cokes. And so, like, that is a big thing to me, because those things are just terrible for you. I know they're terrible for you, but I kept drinking them. But yeah, so I'm drinking a ton of water now, and I feel like that alone has kind of made me start feeling a little better. Drinking more water, I feel like not as sluggish.
Right. No, I that was one thing I was going to say. When I first thought, I was like, oh, well, if I don't eat breakfast, I'm going to, crash by mid morning. But it really is the opposite of that. I don't crash until I eat. When I eat, then I start feeling, tired and sleepy. It's
and
kind
that's
of
something
the
we
opposite.
talked about on there is
Right.
like you're getting energy still from the fat that your body is consuming. So you still got the energy, and that is something that I'm kind of worried about with. I've always told myself when I go kayaking, like before I get out there and like start pedaling around everywhere, like I've always felt like I need to eat something, just so I have energy to do that. And so now I'm curious. I haven't been out like early morning yet. Since we've been on this program, but now I'm curious to see how my body's going to act going out early in the morning to kayak on basically an empty stomach. And one more a tip I wanted to throw out there: if you're trying this and you do feel hunger in the morning and stuff, drink water. The water will kind of give you that full sensation, and you can get your mind off of it, and then go a while again until it comes back. Drink some more water until it comes time for you to be able to eat.
No, that's definitely true too. Yeah, good advice there, because that's helped me too to fend off some of those cravings.
But yeah, I believe Luke's offer still stands. If you mention you heard about his program here on Paddle and Fin, mention us Noobs. But yeah, I think you get $25 off.
Right.
So I think it's definitely worth the price that he charges. I think some people look at it like, oh, that's kind of a big jump. Yeah, but like, okay, let's say you go to a gym and get a gym membership. Like, how long are you actually going to do that? like go to the gym, how much do you know yourself about like the workouts that you need to be doing? Like you're not getting any guidance for that low fee. I know me being in a small town, our gym for me and my wife, it's like $50 or $60 a month. And so that adds up pretty quick.
Right. For sure. And I mean, Luke knows what he's talking about and he gives you so many
Been
different
doing it over
things.
20 years.
He'll walk you through every exercise, but he also then goes through all the nutrition stuff too. And he doesn't just say, eat this because I'm telling you to. He explains why why you're targeting certain meats and certain vegetables and leaving other things. He really goes in depth and it's a lot of interaction. Like there's, you get an app that has all the information in it. There's Facebook groups where you can go in and talk about your successes and your struggles and stuff and get feedback there as well. And he's also, super available for, before and after the workouts and stuff online, like on the video chats and stuff. So definitely a cool guy, very supportive and what's the word I was thinking of? Enthusiastic about it. So check him out.
Yeah, and to go off something you just said, like if you've got a question or something, send him a message. He's very responsive on there, and he's a really good, cool guy to talk to. So yeah, if y'all are like us, I Sean kind of made me put my foot in my mouth because I said on that episode like I need this more than Sean does, and then Sean heard it like I need this too, and jumped on there. So, but yeah,
well, I was 175, and that's the heaviest I've been for a long time. So I don't mind throwing that out there. After seeing the success that Dustin had, for those of you guys who listened to the saltwater segment, did this program, and I think he's at like 38 pounds or something like that.
Last I heard it was 32 pounds in 8 weeks. Now,
okay, that's what it was.
Since it's been like a week or two since then, so I don't know if he's lost more, but yeah, he's had great results. But yeah, and the thing with it, you can still eat whatever you want, pretty much.
Right.
Just the better you eat, the better your results are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, no, for so far, I'm enjoying it. So.
Well, yeah, man. So I guess this is it, huh?
I guess so. Well, again, thank you for everything. Know that you are always welcome back here anytime. So, if you pick up a new technique and you're killing it, you got to let me know so you can come on and talk to me about it.
All right. Yeah, man. I appreciate everything you've done, to help the show out. Once you came on, because like I said, it was rough at the time, and then you came on, and I feel like we've built a pretty cool show, and it kind of sucks to walk away from that, but I just think it's time to move on and work on something else that I've been wanting to. So
I'm excited to see what kind of things you do with the Tennessee fishing scene and kayak fishing scene and that kind of thing. I think you can do a lot of good stuff. So
yeah, and you're I'm curious to see where bass fishing for noobs is going to go. Like,
yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see. No big changes in the immediate future for sure. I'm gonna just kind of take it, go with the flow as I do. Yeah, just keep trying to make it, man. But I'll miss you, brother. And like I said, the door is always open. So, all right.
Yeah, man. And best of luck to you and the rest of Paddle and Fin. And yeah,
we'll have you back on. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in again. I will be back next week. We'll see who I can get to talk to. But this has been the Bass Fishing for Noobs segment on the Paddle and Fin podcast, where we bring you the techniques, the tricks, and the tips to help you rip more lips. Thanks, guys.
Later, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com